Thanks for watching Film Buff, really, honestly. It's fucking great.
All right, man. Episode 3. So yeah, that's the first major death of season 7, man. I would say she's a major character. You know, she's been around for some time now. The fantastic Diana Rigg has played her beautifully over the last few seasons. So yeah, you know, she signed off, and she signed off in style, man. Damn. Just the look on Jamie's face there, man. You know, just the anger in his face. It probably took a lot to just hold back and not just, slash her instead of just letting her die. But, you know, again, that's not Jamie's. That's not how Jamie really operates. I don't think he would have. I think it's safe to say he was not going to lash out even after she dropped this bomb on him. But, you know, right before he left, there was this look in his face, and I felt that look was kind of like, yeah, you deserve this. And then, you know, he just kind of just walked out. Uh, but, you know, it was in line with her character to, you know, right till the end to get one up on the Lannisters, man. You know, this is something all of us have known for a long time, a few seasons now, but no one else has known this, right? You know, and she didn't sell out Baelish. You know, she didn't care to mention that Baelish was in on it too. You know, she wanted to take full credit. You know, to make it even more painful for the Lannisters. You know, it was me, Olenna Tyrell, who did this. And she's like, tell Cersei. Now let's talk about that. Is Jamie gonna tell Cersei? Let's look at the pros and cons. If you know of Jamie telling her, okay, he tells Cersei. Is Cersei even gonna believe him? You know, Cersei knows that Jamie loved Tyrion. He's always like kind of pitied him, or she thought he's pitied him. So you know, maybe to her it's like, nope, bullshit. You're just trying to stick up for him. Even though Jamie has said to Bronn that, you know, the next time he sees Tyrion, he's gonna kill him. I don't think he would actually kill him, but I'm not sure if he said that to Cersei though. You know, it's not clear if he's said something similar to Cersei, that, you know, he's gonna kill Tyrion if he sees him. He might have. You know, they haven't really shown us on screen. In terms of Jamie finding out, he knew that Tyrion's innocent, right? He knew that from the beginning. So like, it doesn't really change anything on that end. You know, it sounded like he believed that Tyrion actually did it, so it doesn't change anything on that end. Now he just knows who did it. But as far as anyone else is concerned, Tyrion did it, right? So Jamie's the only one who has absolute proof that, you know, Tyrion didn't do it. But like, who's gonna believe him even if it ever gets to that point of him trying to convince someone that no, it wasn't Tyrion. I know for a fact. Olenna Tyrell admitted it right before she died. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's not going to change anything. This information is not going to absolve Tyrion Lannister or anything. Olenna Tyrell, man, right till the end, she goes out, man, on top. But I am excited to see if Jamie's going to tell her or hold this information. In terms of the Lannisters at Highgarden, a masterstroke. Yeah, man, Daenerys is going from loss to loss right now. That's like three losses, right? On 3 different fronts. And Tyrion got outsmarted again by his brother and sister. And you know, the funny thing is, Tyrion, he even knew that Cersei's gonna know that he's gonna go to the Rock, but he still did it. You know, he didn't anticipate that Cersei can actually outsmart him. Now, it's not clear if it's, you know, it's probably a combination of the two, right? Cersei and Jamie together. So but yeah, you know, he just didn't anticipate this. And yeah, man, I think he messed up. Tyrion has messed up a few times now. So, you know, surely at this point Daenerys is going to be so frustrated. They've lost Olenna Tyrell and Highgarden. You know, the Tyrells, that allies crossed. They've lost the Greyjoys. You know, one of them's out there just floating around, and the leader of the Greyjoys is taken prisoner. So that's off the list, crossed off. And then the Sand Snakes, Dorne, is out of the picture as well. So, you know, these 3 powerful houses, these 3 powerful allies are crossed off the list, man. Now she's left with nothing. And it seems like the only ally she could potentially have now is Jon Snow in the north, man. Who else is left right now? You know, is Jon Snow going to join in? I think it's unlikely because he doesn't care about this conflict. He knows what the bigger conflict is. Maybe, you know, she'll cut some kind of deal. She'll be like, help me do this, and then together, you know, we'll go do your thing. But honestly, man, other than that, there's only one thing left, and they already alluded to this. Basically, do what Olenna said. Be a dragon, Daenerys. She's already thinking of going out there on the dragons, and this is before the ending. This is before she's gonna find out that Olenna's out of the picture now. So it's the only option left. Tyrion and Varys and Missandei try to talk her out of it. Now, after she finds out that Olenna's out of the picture, that Tyrells are gone, I think it's pretty clear that she has to be a dragon. So Daenerys might enter the battle herself now, on her dragon, and introduce her dragons to this conflict. Tyrion and Daenerys, they've tried to keep the dragons and the Dothraki out of this conflict. That was the plan, right? They wanted to keep the Unsullied and the Dothraki out of the fights and actually use the armies that exist there. Greyjoys and Dorne. All three of those allies are out of the picture, gone, just like that. And she's looking really beatable right now, right? You gotta hand it to Cersei and Jaime, the Lannisters. They keep getting one over Daenerys, man, 3 times now. So Daenerys looks really beatable right now, and she didn't really look that beatable at the end of season 6. Remember the season 6 finale? She had Dothraki, she had Unsullied, she had 3 dragons. She had this insane armada, backed by Tyrells, Dorne, and Greyjoys. She was looking pretty unbeatable, but it's a different story once you actually put it into effect, right? She's landed at Dragonstone, but since being here, she's been stopped on all fronts, man. Cersei's shown this. Now, I'm not sure who to credit for this, Cersei or Jaime, or both of them together. It's got to be both of them together, right? But the Lannisters, let's stick with that. The Lannisters have stopped her at every single point, man. Only option left now is to change up the plan, and the only thing left now is to introduce the Dothraki. She simply has to. She has no other option. And be a dragon in the process. And I'm going to talk about the trailers now. So please, if you haven't seen the trailers, kind of skip the next 20 seconds or so, or 30 seconds. So now I'm going to talk about the trailers. So if you've seen the trailers, it was clear that there is a battle. The Dothraki are out there on the battlefield against the Lannisters, and Dany comes in on Drogon, or one of the dragons at least. So that kind of confirms that her only option is exactly what's going to happen. She has to take the Dothraki out there, and she has to bring her dragons. So that's going to be exciting, man. That's going to be exciting. Yeah, going back to the hand to the queen, Tyrion, man, it's not looking good for Tyrion. He hasn't, for a long time, he hasn't done much. Now that his plans are put into effect, they haven't really paid off. Olenna put it perfectly. She said, that was my biggest mistake, a failure of imagination. And she was saying this about Cersei. She's telling Jaime she could never imagine that Cersei would do these kind of things. I believe she said her prize mistake was a failure of imagination. And I feel like that's the same mistake Tyrion made. A failure of imagination. He just didn't think enough. He didn't look at the possibilities. He didn't give them enough credit. He didn't give Jaime and Cersei enough credit. And he did not think that they could actually outsmart him like this. And they did, man. Jaime, even mentioned the same thing Robb Stark did to me. And he said he learned from his mistake. Gave up the rock. Gave up those men. The Unsullied killed every single man there. Every Lannister. So they skipped over the big battle, right? It kind of goes from that shot of Olenna Tyrell up top. A gorgeous shot. It was a shot of her hand, right? And her arm. And you can see the Lannister army in the background out of focus. The cinematography, I'll get onto that. One of my favorite shots, one of my favorite scenes of the whole episode, or the whole season so far, to be honest. Jaime just going through the castle, the halls, and it was like a tracking shot from behind. And you see his gorgeous armor, and from the looks of it was kind of taken rather easily. And part of it probably has to do with the fact that Randall decided to back the Lannisters, so that's a chunk of the force gone. And Olenna even said, it was never our forte. Golden roses indeed. So even she was downplaying the capacity of their army. As Jaime's going through, you can see the Lannister men taking notes, making notes of the gold. So there it is, the gold. This is the gold that Cersei promised to the bank. Let's jump to that scene really quick. Sorry, I'm just going to be all over the place. There's so much going on in this episode, so I'm going to be jumping all over the place. Kind of like the episode itself. But, Cersei seemed so confident, in that scene. So much so that she gave him a timeline. She's like, give me this much time and I'll pay it in full. So to promise something like that, you knew she had to have a plan. She takes out one of Dany's allies, her richest allies. Tyrell is gone off the list, and in the process, she also gets all the gold, man. And Tyrell's have a lot of it, so she gets everything. So impressive, really impressive by Cersei, man. Cersei and Jaime, just the planning, just fantastic. It was a masterstroke. So now they have to bring the gold. Are they gonna skip over that? Or is it just gonna be a simple thing as took High Garden, the gold's ours, here you go, or does Dany unleash the Dothraki? The bulk of the Lannister army is still out there. Jaime Lannister's out there. So if Daenerys is thinking of attacking and unleashing the Dothraki and her dragons, this is the time. This is the time to catch them off guard. This is the time to get one over the Lannisters. Catch them off guard this time, right? And once again, if you've seen the trailers, it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. That Daenerys is going to unleash the Dothraki and her dragons on the Lannister army, man. And it's really possible that this might be the battle that Jaime was in. Remember in the trailer? That shot of Jaime just charging? So it looks like the first big battle that has major players. Major implications and major players. Jaime Lannister is going to be there. Bronn's going to be there. Daenerys is going to be there. She's riding one of her dragons. And the Dothraki. For the first time in history, the Dothraki are going to battle, are going to fight on Westerosi lands. So this is it, man. This is it. This is all setting up for an explosive encounter. Exciting, man. Holy shit. And there's a really good chance that this could be the next episode. Because everything's moving so quick, man. I'll talk about it because at the beginning of this episode, Jon Snow, they kick off the episode by showing us Jon Snow. I thought it's going to be Theon. Jon Snow lands on Dragonstone. So everything's moving really quick. So once the Dothraki and Daenerys attack the Lannister army and, Jaime Lannister and beat them, if they can beat them, she can take all the gold. If she can beat them on the battlefield, the gold is hers. So yeah, there's actually more implications than I thought, actually. As all of us know, the Bank of Bravos doesn't give a shit, man. They don't care. They don't take sides. They just want to get paid. Holy shit. Oh man. There's so much at stake now, man. This big battle, there's so much at stake. And yeah, man, it's gonna be a blindside because remember how Qyburn showed Cersei, his defense against the dragons? They're not even gonna be ready for it. Those are probably back at King's Landing still, so holy shit, unless they're smart enough to think even further ahead, and know that Daenerys might attack them after having 3 huge setbacks, that Daenerys is going to attack them. Are they smart enough to know this? Have Cersei and Jaime thought of this? Maybe it's not going to be surprised at all. Maybe they already know that this is going to happen. They've thought of this, and they're prepared for this attack. Maybe it's all a big grand plan. Maybe Cersei and Jaime are just outsmarting them at every single stop, man. Hey, man, you gotta give it to Cersei. She's absolutely slaying right now. Super impressed by Cersei this episode. Alright, man, time to go to the top of the episode. Yeah, I can feel, this is gonna be a long one, man. Holy shit, it's already 30 minutes in, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this down. I have to mention PJ Dillon, the DP, and his cinematography in this episode. And he was also the DP for episode 2. Holy shit, man. Definitely one of my favorite things about this episode. The cinematography was stunning. Absolutely stunning. A lot of landscapes, a lot of gorgeous landscape shots. He's also the DP on Vikings. So, I noticed a lot of similar landscape shots. The one that really reminded me of Vikings was the one on the beach. There was a shot on the beach. It was like a landscape shot that had all of them in it as well. You could see the Dothraki. You could see Jon Snow and the crew up front. And it was just like a sprawling shot. Gorgeous. Stunning shots of Varys and Melisandre on those hills. And then more stunning shots of Jon Snow and Tyrion on the hill. A lot of gorgeous interior shots. A lot of natural light being used. A lot of light shafts. The light shafts is nothing new. That's been a staple of the cinematography of Game of Thrones. And if you check out Vikings, you'll notice it's a lot of the same. Vikings is huge on light shafts. Gorgeous shots of Jorah's room. Jorah just looking out at the sunlight, big smile on his face. Just the composition of that shot and the lighting. You know, again, light shafts coming in. Just fantastic composition, man. Game of Thrones has been a learning experience for me. You know, one day I hope to be a DP on projects, you know, myself. So this is a learning experience. It has been for years. I just absolutely love it. You know, some fantastic tracking shots in this from front and behind. You know, it was behind Jaime at the end there, just going through the different areas. And from the front for Tyrion and Jon. Just love that, man. Love those shots. And, you know, there was also like a flyby, like a drone type shot behind them. It really showed you the landscape and really showed you that they're actually in locations. And that this is not CGI, you know. It was clear that those stairs are the real deal. Really menacing, really intimidating, right? The throne room at Dragonstone. Just some gorgeous shots of the full throne room. You can see the light shafts coming in. I feel like that was a lot of natural lighting. Because I know they use a lot of natural lighting for the day shots. They're big on candles, you know, candles and natural lighting. If it's possible, of course. Alright, man, let me finally get to the beginning. So, you know, beginning kind of shocked me because I was expecting that to be Theon, you know, returning to Dragonstone. But no, the King of the North, Jon Snow, lands on Dragonstone. That just goes to show you how fast this season is moving, man. They just don't have time to show us anything in the middle. Like, I feel like if this is happening in the last season, you know, if this is happening in season 6 or 5, you know, they would definitely show us like scenes of the trip over, kind of like, you know, Jon Snow and Davos just kind of talking about what, you know, what should happen, what to expect. But, you know, they skip past any of that kind of stuff, and that's happened a lot in this season so far. They just don't have time for those scenes that might have happened a few seasons ago, you know. So a long anticipated moment, a long anticipated reunion actually. Tyrion Lannister and Jon Snow finally face to face again, man. Last time they met was season 1. Man, it was so great to see this. You know, in their travels to Castle Black, they really, you know, they really ended up respecting each other. And, you know, Jon even said back then, you know, I'm gonna miss you, like or something like that, right? He said something like he's gonna miss him, or he's sad to see him go. I think that's what he said. I'm sad to see you go. And so much has changed since the last time they saw each other. You know, Jon notices a few scars, and I love the conversation, you know, of them going up the stairs. You know, as Jon is explaining to Tyrion that all of my men, my bannermen, think I'm stupid for doing this. I'm an idiot for doing this. You know, Starkmen don't do so great in the south. You know, and Jon's like, well, I'm not a Stark. The moment Jon said this, Drogon decides to fly over. You know, it was similar to a few seasons ago, Mr. Aemon and Sam. You know, a Targaryen alone in the world. That's a terrible thing. And Jon Snow comes right in at that moment. So it was kind of similar to that. I don't know if they just decided that this is going to be just a cool thing to have Drogon fly over just as he said that, or is it because Drogon could kind of sense something, and he decides to kind of, you know, go in for a closer look. I know exactly what Drogon was saying, man. He's telling the other two dragons, yo, you check out the new guy? I kind of like him, man. There's something about him. I can't quite put my tail on it, but there's something about him. I like the new guy. You know, but I think it's a good possibility that Drogon sensed something, you know, because dragons are known to be really smart. They can sense things. You know, I might just be romanticizing a pretty straightforward scene, but, you know, but I would like to think that Drogon sensed something and just, you know, goes in for a closer look. All right, man, so Melisandre, so she decided that she's not going to be down there. You know, she decided that she's done more than enough. She told Varys about how she didn't part on the greatest terms, and she said she's going to return to Volantis. You know, she also admitted that she made terrible mistakes. Oh man, this, you know, she dropped ice and fire. You know, I've brought ice and fire together. This isn't something she just randomly thought of now at that moment on that cliff. I find it really interesting that she decides to drop that now. She's definitely known about this, and they haven't really, shown us on screen that she knows this, but she clearly knows that, you know, Daenerys and Jon Snow kind of have to meet. She's known this for a long time, clearly, and she decided to drop that now. You know, I brought ice and fire together. And one more thing she dropped on him before, you know, heading out. You know, I'll return. You know, I'm not done yet. I'll return because I have to die here. So do you. Was that just like a simple thing of her knowing that Varys is going to die here and that all of them are going to die here? Or is there more to it than that? You know, is there something about Varys that she knows? I mean, he's already pretty mysterious. Perhaps there's more to him, man, and Melisandre knows, because, you know, just how to look in his face, right? Something's going on there. You know, it could be that, or it could just be her knowing that, yes, you know, you're gonna die here. And then the big moment, man. Jon and Davos enter the throne room. Big moment, right? This is a massive moment in Game of Thrones. Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen meet for the first time. The first meeting, was a lot of grandstanding. This one was more of like a really official meeting, first meeting. And there again, there's a lot of grandstanding. And pretty quick, she got right down to business. She's like, "I assume you're here to bend the knee." Jon straight up told her no. And Jon brought up the fact that her father, the Mad King, killed his grandfather and his uncle. Burned them alive. And Daenerys is quick to jump in and let him know that she agrees. She knows he's a crazy man. He was an evil man. Because Daenerys was like, "I ask you not to judge a daughter by the sins of her father." And Jon understood. Jon got that instantly because, he said the same thing in episode 1, I believe. He didn't want to punish the Umbers and the Karstarks for the sins of their fathers, right? So this really resonated. There's a funny moment because she's like, "I'm the last Targaryen, Jon Snow." And, as she's saying this, she's actually facing another Targaryen, her nephew standing right there, But, as this conversation's going on, you could tell how much Jon is so past the whole house-to-house conflict, business that's going on. He's so past it. Like, he doesn't even give a shit. He has no stake in it. He doesn't care about these conflicts. He knows what the real threat is, and he's firmly, locked in on that threat. He said these small squabbles are kind of like children, complaining about the rules. In the time he's been here, he hasn't bent the knee, he's calling me a child. So it's two people that just don't know each other. So everything is just, they're butting heads on everything, right? And I feel like Dany was coming off as arrogant at points. But, I understand that she has to be. She has to put up this front. She has to, not even a front, man. She has to be aggressive. She has to be assertive because she doesn't know Jon Snow. She knows that Tyrion knows him a bit, but she doesn't know Jon Snow. So I can see why it's a little bit tough for her to believe anything Jon Snow's going to tell her. And she was absolutely baffled once Jon Snow dropped the dead are the real threat. The look on her face, like the sarcastic look on her face. She basically jumped into fire, and dragons were magically born. So, like, the fact that she's, like, rolling her eyes and, like, absolutely baffled at the mention of the army of the dead, I was kind of like, but, you have dragons that were magically born and then you didn't burn in the fire. But again, she doesn't know Jon Snow yet. So this is a lot of information to take in, And Tyrion later on in the episode, he tells Jon, that's not a reasonable request. She doesn't know you. She met you for the first time. She doesn't really know you, and you're asking her to join this battle, this conflict of yours against the Night King. Dany got off the throne and she starts to, walk towards Jon. And at this point, she's telling him all the things she's been through. See, that's key. I feel like that's key, that both of them need to understand that, they've had a similar journey, both of them have gone through a rough time, man, and that both of them have had, like, really similar rise to the top. And I feel like over the episode, in the second meeting, that both of them had a little bit of a different take on each other, maybe a little bit more respect for each other, because, the common factor here is Tyrion Lannister. I'll talk about that scene in a bit, but, at this point, Dany was at her most arrogant. She referred to herself in the third person, because of my faith in Daenerys Targaryen. I can see how that could turn a lot of people off, As she's talking about how she's the rightful ruler of the Seven Kingdoms and all that stuff, I just kept thinking of how pointless all of this is. And that's exactly what Jon Snow was probably thinking, right? He's like, there's no time for this. Like, who cares, who sits on the Iron Throne? Because he knows firsthand, better than anyone, and you can see later on that he's frustrated, that he can't convince anyone. Man, so there was a fantastic pulling shot. I felt like this is an iconic shot, for the first time Jon Snow and Daenerys are face to face. As it pulled in, you could see one of the Dothraki soldiers kind of go out of the shot, and then Davos go out of the shot, and it was just those two. Love that shot, man. The first face-to-face meeting. And at this point, Davos kind of interjects, just like she was the first to bring the Dothraki over, Jon Snow was the first to, make an alliance with the wildlings. And, a lot of similarities here. He mentioned that the men love him. His men love him. They want to fight for him. They believe in him. A little bit of a nod to Rhaegar, his father. And he drops the fact that he took a knife to the heart for his people. The moment he said that, Jon looks around. He's like, nope. Let's stop it right there, man. I feel like if he kept going and explained it, like, yeah, Danny basically, she kind of rolled her eyes almost at the mention of the army of the dead. So I guess maybe John was thinking, no, this is not the right time for this. Uh, she, I'm already trying to, convince her of this one thing, and she's basically rolling her eyes at that. And if you drop this on her, that I've come back from the dead, she might just think, both of us are full of shit right now. Though I feel like if Davos just said it, I don't think it would have been that bad, because Dany herself, climbed into that pyre and didn't die. So she knows these kind of things are possible, unless she believes it's only possible for her, that she's special. But the thing is, she remembered that, man. She was really curious about it. She even asked Tyrion, and Tyrion didn't think anything of it. As he said it, you see Daenerys kind of look at Tyrion. So seeing Jon's reaction probably, made it even more intriguing that there's probably something there, and now she's asking Tyrion about it. Maybe she's gonna ask him. I feel like in future episodes, maybe in the next episode, if they have another one-on-one, she might bring it up, man. So let's see if Jon's gonna share that information, and if she's gonna believe him. She might, because in their second meeting, you saw now they're starting to respect each other, and they're starting to understand each other. Because the first meeting, they didn't know anything about each other. These are complete strangers to each other. Jon stood his ground. He was defiant. He didn't bend the knee. And I think it's a good thing, because, if he bends the knee and his people hear about this, they'll be like, bro, we made you king of the north, and you go down there and bend the knee to this stranger, this Targaryen. So, I feel like it was understandable on both ends. I understand the grandstanding from Daenerys. I do understand the reasoning for it. And then I totally understand Jon Snow's defiance, of him not wanting to bend the knee. So the first meeting was a bit of a draw. It was kind of like a deadlock, right? A lot of disagreement. They couldn't really, agree on anything except the one thing. I ask you to not judge the daughter by the sins of her father. That's the one thing they could, agree on. There's a shot of like Daenerys, Jon, Davos, Tyrion. You can see some of the amazing rich culture just through the clothing. Jon's outfit, Daenerys' outfit, totally different, right? Talking about Theon, he did get rescued, and as they pulled him in, I could see a little bit of reek in the manner he was acting, and these Greyjoy men, they could kind of tell what happened, and they basically saw right through it. He said he tried to save her, but the one guy's like, no, if you tried that, you wouldn't be here, man. So, again, they've all, clearly like lost respect for him. Moving on to King's Landing, Euron receives a hero's welcome. Now, see, these people, to them, these are enemies of the crown, the Sand Snakes, Yara Greyjoy, and Euron is aiding the crown, and bringing in these enemies. So, all these people, like, they're sheep, right? So they think, they think this is the right thing, this guy's a good guy. And once again, Euron decides to take digs at Jaime. He's like, I bring you what no man could, justice for your daughter. And of course, he's looking right at Jaime as he's saying this. I feel like there's a lot of tension there. Jaime and Euron, it's gonna keep going on. As he brought the Sand Snakes to the steps, man, the look in Cersei's eye, pure hatred and disgust, anger, and she had tears in her eyes. She was so, like right then and there, you could tell that Ellaria Sand and her daughter are in for a rough night, more than a rough night. So she was impressed. She's definitely impressed by Euron, because he's done something big, man. Ellaria is responsible for killing Marcella, but she's been dreaming of this, and later on she even mentions, how to stay up at night, trying to think of, different things to do to you, to my enemies, and she finally got her chance, man. And, she was impressed, but she still kind of deflected the whole marriage thing. So, one queen earlier on, Daenerys, she looked the part, she looked amazing. Then let's talk about Cersei, man. She most definitely looked the part. Again, stunning costume design. It's this all black dress, and it's got this thing that kind of looks like armor, but it's like silver or like some kind of crystal. I don't know, some kind of jewelry, but it's in the shape of like armor, So she looks stunning. So once again, before I move on to the next scene, Euron. Oh my god, this dude is just, you know, Jamie would love to just, smack the shit out of him. And yeah, man, before Euron takes his leave, he takes another dig. Not a dig. This time he's just being straight out nasty, man. Does she like a gentle or rough? A finger in the bum. Holy shit. Jamie's face. Jamie was ready to fuck him up right there. Euron's being a huge pain in Jamie's ass. And, Euron's theme was great. It was another take on his theme. I really liked it, as he bowed. Man, this next scene. Some powerful acting, man. Some fantastic acting from Lena Headey and the actress who plays Ilaria. I firmly believe Lena Headey is putting in the best acting performances on Game of Thrones. She's just a little bit on a different level, I feel. But two totally different types of acting on display here. Both fantastic, the actress who plays Ilaria Sand, really good acting, man. Her mouth is gagged, so the acting she has to do here is, all facial acting. And holy shit did she, and she crushed it, man. You could, she really made you believe that she's angry. She's scared. You can see the fear in her eyes, and throughout the scene, you can slowly see her breaking. You can see that Cersei's breaking her. She's broken by the end of the scene, man. And at that one point, Cersei's right by her daughter, and she's trying to, Ilaria's trying to say something, but she can't. And you can sense the agony and the frustration. Cersei's just digging it in. She's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't understand what you're saying." Really good acting, man. Did I feel bad for the Sand Snakes? To be honest with you guys, I didn't really feel bad. Like, I'm not gonna fake feeling bad. I just didn't feel bad, I did feel bad for the daughter, just a bit, after she got kissed, and that it was a bit of a heartbreaking scene. She's like, "Mama," she looks at her mom, and like, she's just shocked because she knows what's just happened, and she's trying to tell her mom, what just happened. That was a bit of a sad moment. Yeah, it sucks that a mother has to, watch her daughter die and then just see her dead body day in and day out. Because Ilaria Sand is going to be down there for the rest of her life. Or, at least as long as King's Landing is standing. But yeah, man, Cersei didn't want to make it quick. Just like the Septa, she wants Ilaria Sand to suffer. And she's going to make her watch her daughter die. Man, I said during the reaction, don't cross Cersei Lannister. Because she's capable of unimaginable things. And the moment Ilaria Sand realized this is what Cersei's gonna make her go through, you see the expression just change in her eyes. Like, just absolute shock. And man, the scene that came after, Jaime's inside, in their room, she drops her knees, she bends the knee. This scene was more to do, I think this scene was more about Cersei just feeling that power. She just felt like in a position of power at the moment. She's like, I can do what I want. I can get what I want. So they're both in bed, knock on the door. She gets up to go open the door. Jaime's still all about, keeping the secret, keeping it behind closed doors. She's like, I don't give a fuck, man. I'm the queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Like, I'll do whatever the hell I want. And fair enough, man. Who's gonna say anything to Cersei Lannister? People fear Cersei Lannister. They're scared shitless of her. So who's gonna say anything to her? She can do what she pleases. The door opens, and the first thing I noticed is the hair. Well, the first thing she noticed was Jaime Lannister in the bed. Did Cersei ask them all to do this? Not ask, tell them all to do this. To cut their hair just like hers, because she's a queen and she has short hair. Does she want everyone to look like her? So this time there was a one-on-one Tyrion and Jon Snow scene. Another great scene. I feel like Tyrion is really crucial to, bringing Jon Snow and Daenerys together. In terms of seeing eye to eye. Because, he's the common factor here. He knows Jon Snow, or he knows enough about him to know that he's a good man and he has good intentions. And he definitely knows Daenerys. And in this scene, he really tells Jon about all the good things she's done, all the great things she's done for people, to free people, just like he does, fights the monsters just like him. And what the crazy thing is, as he's saying this, I'm thinking of in those 7 seasons, or in these 6 seasons, there's been such a rich history that's been established. They're always telling us about historic things, from the past. But now, in these 6 seasons, there's new things that have happened that are kind of, historic, and are kind of like history, part of history now. And after that, he decides to go and talk to Daenerys. He was able to convince Dany to, let him mine the dragon glass in good faith. It's not like she's losing anything. She didn't even know about it. But, I feel like off screen, he told her a few more things. And that plays out in this next scene. Daenerys and Jon Snow one-on-one. No one else, just those two. Big moment again. These two get some, alone time. This exchange was definitely different. This time around, both of them have a little bit of backstory, to each other through Tyrion Lannister. As Jon approached her, he's talking about the dragons, and she tells him, "I named them after my brothers." And she knew that he lost 2 brothers, so that means Tyrion told her about this, right? So, and now she has background info on Jon as well. Actually, before I go into that, she brought it up to Tyrion, the thing about the stabbing, taking a knife to the heart. I know I talked about that before, but again, maybe in a future conversation that might come up. Yeah, they're totally different tone. Both of them are a little bit more relaxed, because both of them have some background info on each other now. Jon mentions, "Oh, you've been talking to Tyrion. He likes to talk. All of us enjoy what we're good at." So the moment she said this, Jon goes, "I don't." And she looks over at Jon. She has this look on her face. I feel like that look kind of comes from the fact that she's kind of heard this before, and that took me back to those great conversations she used to have, her and Sir Barristan Selmy. Man, those scenes were so great. Sir Barristan, there's those conversations about Sir Barristan telling her about the Mad King, her father. Then there was those conversations about Rhaegar, and he would tell her about Rhaegar and what he was like, that he liked to sing. And and then she told Sir Barristan, "Oh, Viserys never told me." That kind of sucks, but because it's clear that Viserys, he only told her like a few select things about Rhaegar, and she said that he told me that he was good at killing. And Sir Barristan said, yeah, he was good at killing, but he didn't like doing it. He liked singing. They're really dropping these hints now. They're really dropping these connections. And in the last episode, Jon, he basically straight up told them, "You all wanted me to be king. I didn't want it, but I accepted it." So it could be a combination of things. The fact that he doesn't like killing, just like Rhaegar, or the fact that he doesn't like to lead, just like Rhaegar. And yeah, in that conversation, Daenerys tells him, "I'll let you mine for the dragon glass." And then he asks her one more time, "Do you believe me now?" She doesn't say anything, but then, this line and the delivery of this line, in the manner it was delivered, "You better get to work, Jon Snow." And then as Jon's going back, Daenerys does the look around, and this time the look on her face was a little bit different. You could tell it was a different look. So I'm not sure if they're trying to imply that maybe this is the beginning of something, or it could just be the fact that she's starting to respect him. Clearly Tyrion's been talking about Jon, telling her about Jon, so maybe it was more of a respect look. The topic of Jon and Daenerys, a lot of people ship them. I don't think there's time for that kind of thing to happen anymore. And then there's a whole ethical thing going on, that's his aunt. They're related. I know Targaryens and incest and all that, but come on, Jon was still raised as a Stark, basically, right? If it does end up happening, I feel like it would happen before they even find out. Here's the thing. I feel like once Jon finds out that he's related to her, and I feel like he is going to find out. Bran did say he needs to speak to Jon. I'll get to that in a bit. I feel like once he finds out, then, there's no chance of it happening. In my opinion. And I also feel like the time frame, and I feel like Jon is not in that mind space anymore. I feel like he regrets his one true love. Right now, the only thing he's thinking of is the Night King and his army of the dead. So I don't know, man. I don't see it happening, but it's one of those things that, people are on like either side of the fence. Some people think it's disgusting. No, it shouldn't happen. Some people say, fuck it. Targaryens have been doing it for a long time. Let this happen as well. So let's see how it goes. Let's move on to Sansa. I gotta say, she really, again, she looked the part as well. Like, as Littlefinger said, command suits you. I agree. She was doing a good job, a great job, I think. So see, Littlefinger, again, I kind of mentioned last episode that Sansa's kind of already looking past the Night King. She's looking at the long term future, right? And that's what Littlefinger was talking about in this episode. He's like, okay, maybe the Night King kills us all, and then all the problems don't matter anyways. Yeah, but what about after that? If after that all of us are still here, you have to think of that. And then he drops some fantastic knowledge on her. This is not Littlefinger trying to manipulate her. This is him just giving her some fantastic knowledge, man. There was no manipulation, nothing like that. I feel like this is for the first time in a long time he's giving his perspective, his thought process to someone he likes, or someone he's trying to help. Because the things he was saying here definitely sounded like something Littlefinger does. That's how he operates. Basically he's telling her to think of every single possibility at all times. Everyone's your enemy, everyone's your friend. All possibilities, right? Think of it, all of it in your mind. One thing that's always been clear is that Littlefinger is a smart man, really smart man. And you can see in Sansa's face for the first time in 3 episodes, up until this point, she's just been kind of rude to Littlefinger. She'll cut him off, she'll see right through him. But for the first time, even she thought that, okay, this is okay. And at this point, she's probably thinking, okay, so he's actually telling me something useful here. Bit of a surprised look on her face. Then the reunion, another Stark reunion. For me, super emotional, man. The Starks, for the longest time they've been ripped apart, man. And finally, they're finally starting to come back together, man. Rising from the ashes, House Stark rises again. Sansa sees Bran, the Stark theme kicks in. Right in the feels, man. So Sansa was absolutely just, super happy, overcome by emotion. Bran, on the other hand, Bran was kind of straight-faced, kind of just like zoned out, emotionless. Emotionless is the one thing that keeps coming to mind. And even the way he said, "Hello, Sansa," kind of like he's not really surprised to see her. And before I move on to the next scene, interesting scene coming up, Mira Reed, they show her and she looked like absolutely, she's so tired. You could just see in her face. Mira deserves all kinds of praise for, being by Bran's side all this time and going through all of that, So, I hope Mira Reed doesn't just fade out. She deserves a lot of praise. Alright, man, let's move on to this scene, man. So, Sansa and Bran, they're out there. Sansa's really happy, you can see. But Bran, yeah, man, there's no emotion, right? It's kind of sad to see, actually, that this young boy has kind of turned into this emotionless, inhumane, no filter. Like, he's got no filter anymore, Like, it honestly feels like he's barely human anymore. And that he's just something else now. He's just, it kind of feels like he's just like a hard drive, like a really big hard drive that has a lot of info, man, a lot of knowledge on it. Now, he did mention that it's pieces, it's fragments, but he did tell Sansa that he knows everything that's happened in the past, or that's happened before, and he knows everything that's going on right now. Then he said, in fragments, I need to get better, or that I need to learn to see better. And and staying on that point, yeah, man, he knows everything. He's seen everything. He's basically seen Robb, his mom, get butchered. He's definitely seen that. He clearly saw Jon get murdered by his own men. He's seen what happened to Sansa, right? And I'll talk about that in a bit. He's seen what Arya's going through. He's seen all the craziest shit, right? In history, to his own family, he's seen it all now. Fragments of it, but he's seen enough, right? So, like, once you see that kind of stuff, I guess emotions don't really matter anymore, do they? Because this is some messed up shit that he's seen. All the messed up shit. He's seen it all, man. There's so many things I need to talk about here, man. Alright, so first of all, Sansa said that she hoped that John was here for this. And Bran's reaction was, yes, I need to talk to him. Oh man, I'm gonna go off on tangents here, but I'll try to keep it. I'll try to keep it together. But so see, this is interesting here. Now John has this immense, absolutely crazy source of knowledge on his side, right? Through Bran Stark. My question is, how much of this information, this knowledge, is Bran actually going to share? But it was kind of clear, they kind of alluded to it. He's like, yeah, I need to talk to him. I think it's safe to assume that he wants to talk to him about his parents. He wants to talk to him about him being half Targaryen, and his mom was actually Lyanna Stark. And all of us know that the big thing Jon Snow is really concerned about right now is the Night King and, the Army of the Dead. And Bran knows a lot about them, man. So having Bran and these new set of skills, this new set of possibilities is, it's going to be really beneficial. All depending on how Bran decides to share this knowledge, or if he decides to share a bunch of it. To me, it was clear that, he firmly believes he has a big responsibility, and and he really wants to get better at it. He basically told Sansa that he can't be anything else. He can't be anything because he's only one thing now, the Three-Eyed Raven. She straight up said, I don't know what that means. And he knew it's gonna be difficult to explain. Twice she got confused about this because he's like, I learned from the Three-Eyed Raven, and then she interjects. She's like, I thought you're the Three-Eyed Raven. Then Bran proceeds to tell her about that night, man. Really, really eerie scene, man. As you can see in Sansa's face, she's absolutely just baffled, and she's kind of creeped out. You can see she's kind of unsettled. She's rattled, and Bran isn't, because he's seen this, right? Yes, indeed, it is a strange thing to bring up, because that is not something she wants to ever think about again, or hear about again. And her brother, long lost brother, is bringing it up. My take on this is that he picked the most intense, he picked the most jarring and shocking to make her understand what exactly he means by being the Three-Eyed Raven, because of course, they led up to the scene by showing us that Sansa just doesn't understand. And he even said it's difficult to explain. And I feel like this most definitely explains what he's talking about, that he can see things, he's seen things in the past. And I feel like he used this memory, this experience, this bad memory in particular, to really, let Sansa know what he means by this. But to be honest, it's not even clear that he knows what happened, because they made sure to tell us that he only knows fragments. He knows things, but he has fragments of everything, right? So it's possible that he might not know exactly what happened that night. Sansa doesn't know that, right? So you can see in her face how shocked and rattled she was. But that's my take on it. I feel like that's the reasoning behind him bringing up this experience, this bad memory. And of course, after hearing that, Sansa knows that, Bran has something supernatural going on now. Because she knows there's no way Bran could know that, right? It sucks that Sansa had to hear it. And relive that memory, that experience. But I feel like Bran got his message across, to explain, to show her what he means, that that he knows about the past. He can see everything in the past and what's happening right now. And I was talking about Baelish, having that look on his face, about the scrolls, a record of all the scrolls. Man, he has another thing coming if he thinks that's his only problem, because Brendan Stark knows, he knows it all, man. So he knows what Baelish has done. He knows Baelish played a part in the death of his father, and the betrayal of his father. He knows all of this. Is Bran gonna tell Jon Snow about this? Is he gonna tell Sansa about this? It's all about how much of this knowledge he's gonna share. For me, that's the most interesting thing out of this. Is he straight up just gonna start telling Jon everything? Is he gonna be a little bit more mysterious about it? Or is he gonna be, is he gonna pick and choose what needs to be shared? Because, he is the Three-Eyed Raven now. He does have a responsibility. Is he going to tell Jon about Uncle Benjen? Oh my god, that's going to be amazing. See, that's the really cool thing about this, of Bran coming back. All the different things that are possible now. Him and Jon, him and Arya. That's a totally different thing, man, because, the topic of sharing information, Arya, I feel like she is not going to share anything. I don't think she's going to share the fact that she has become this faceless assassin. But of course, Bran is gonna know. But yeah, going back to Baelish, Baelish is in trouble. I think he's in big trouble. just especially with Brandon Stark and Arya, and Arya is about to get back home as well. So, man, this is Baelish. It's not looking good for Baelish, because I say Arya because now say Bran tells Jon about Baelish and the things he's done, or he tells Sansa. I don't think either one of them are straight out gonna just execute him, right? Because as of this point, they just have to believe what Bran is saying, right? But Sansa actually knows something is up now. She knows there's some kind of supernatural thing going on. Is Bran gonna do something similar for Jon, so Jon can believe him and Jon can understand what Bran means? Now, I feel like Jon is gonna believe him. It's not gonna be too much of a fight, because come on, Jon came back from the dead. Because Jon knows supernatural things are possible. Things like this are possible. But here's my thing, man. But if Bran tells Arya that Baelish, but if Arya finds out that Baelish betrayed Ned, her father, it's over, man. Baelish is going to be 6 feet under. She is going to bury Peter Baelish if this man had a hand to play in Ned Stark's death, or his betrayal that led to his death. Because, Arya Stark has become the Stark enforcer. She is the enforcer, man. She does not give a shit. She'll straight up murder your ass. She'll kill you. And you know what? I'm not going to lie, man. I love it. I love that she is the Stark enforcer. All four of them have a different set of skills. All four of them bring different things to the table. But I like the fact that Arya is the Stark enforcer, and that she's okay, and she's totally down to get her hands dirty. It's so clear that she doesn't mind killing people that deserve it. Talking about different set of skills, man. Yeah, this is crazy. You got to think about Sansa here. Like, she's also had experiences over these last few years that have changed her as a person. That have, I believe she's much stronger now as a person. But man, her other 3 siblings, that's a totally different topic here, man. Supernatural, right? But yeah, I refer to them as the Fantastic Four. 3 out of the 4 basically are superheroes, to be honest, right? Alright, man, the Citadel, Jorah Mormont, and Sam. Okay, before I get into the scene, so it seems like it took 1 day to cure Jorah. Now, for that to be possible, it must have been a long night, all night, right? This brings up one of the criticisms the new season has been getting so far. The pacing and how everything is just moving too fast. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. There are a few other things that moved really fast. People are bringing up the whole teleporting thing in episode 2 again. How characters are just moving around so fast. Yes, things are moving really fast. But I do feel like, just like the books, I'm like about halfway through book 1. Just like those chapters, not everything is happening chronologically, right? It's possible some of these scenes are taking place, so far apart from each other. But yes, it's really clear that, the pacing is much faster than any of the past seasons, because, in past seasons, they would spend a lot of time on dialogue. They would spend a lot of time on conversations, and that was great. Of course, that was fantastic. Of course, it would have been cool if we got more of that in this season. But, these 7 episodes, you could tell from episode 1 that the pacing is going to be so fast. They just don't have time to spend on some of this stuff anymore, right? And it does kind of suck that it had to be 7 episodes. But remember, they actually wanted this to be the last season, and it was supposed to be 10 episodes, right? But instead, HBO decided to split it up into season 7 and 8. So season 7 has 7 episodes, season 8 has 6 episodes. So imagine that. It would have been even faster. The pacing would have been even faster if it was the final season and there's 10 episodes. A beautiful moment here, man. After the Archmaester, he knows Sam treated him. But after he left, Sam, he told him, your father saved me more than once. And, a beautiful moment as Sam puts his hand out. Even Jorah was kind of shocked and surprised. You could see the mutual respect, Of course, Jorah said he owes his life to him and Daenerys. So, beautiful moment. He puts his hand out and Jorah shakes it. And there's a stunning shot, man. There's a stunning shot of Jorah just kind of looking out at the sunlight, and that, just that relief on his face. Gorgeous shot again, the light shafts coming in. Beautiful moment, man. So Jorah Mormont is ready, and he's gonna go join up Team Daenerys. And that is a good thing, man. That is fantastic because she needs him right now. She needs Jorah to be part of that team because Tyrion, because Tyrion needs help, man. Because Tyrion has failed at every single step. And a lot of people. This takes me back to episode the season 6 finale. Remember how she told Daario he couldn't come. That it would be a mistake to bring a lover. And that he's not needed there, and that he might be a distraction. It was Tyrion who brought that idea up, right, to leave him behind. Hey man, let's get real here. She could have used Daario. She most definitely could have used Daario right now. She could have used his brain. She could have used his experience. Because let's be honest, man, Tyrion does not have the experience. He does not have the experience. He has experience in some things. He's amazing at some things. But it's clear now that this is not his forte. And that she needs people like Jorah Mormont. She needs people like Daario. She most definitely could have used Daario. I remember everyone's like, oh, okay, Daario, bye-bye, fuckboy. Let's be honest, man. She could have used Daario. Alright, man, let's move on to the attack on Casterly Rock. Oh, alright. So, first of all, this is a fantastic scene. I love that they chose to have Tyrion Lannister narrate this. It was fantastic, man. As he's talking Daenerys and the others, Missandei and Varys through this, they're showing us scenes of it actually happening. It was fantastic. And the plan was that he would sneak in 10 good men through the secret entrances he knows about and have the rest of the Unsullied just attack. And he knew a lot of them were going to die. And, he sacrificed a lot of Unsullied for this plan just so the 10 can sneak in. There's a lot of sacrifices this episode. Jaime Lannister and Cersei decided they're going to have to sacrifice some of those Lannister men and give up the rock and take the bulk of their army to Highgarden. And Tyrion said, and as his father said, it's impregnable. And, but then there's that fantastic moment. He quotes his good friend Bronn, Sir Bronn. Give me 10 good men, I'll impregnate the bitch. But right, yeah, Unsullied go in there, Grey Worm's in there, and they took them out. They took all of them out, and then Euron shows up. Euron was just at King's Landing. This is one of the scenes that makes me think that it's not chronological. It's not clear how much time has passed. Unless, of course, he's not at the Rock, and those are just his forces. But I believe his main ship was, it was there, right? The Silence. I believe that was in the shot, so I'm guessing Euron is going to be on his ship, the Silence. But once again, man, Cersei came out on top. And yeah, Tyrion got outsmarted, man. He did not give Cersei and Jaime enough credit. And then fantastic transition shows us the Lannister army just marching on Highgarden. Randall Tarley's made his choice. That's a big thing. First appearance of Sir Bronn. Really would have been cool to see some of the battle itself. And I feel like because of that reason, it might seem like it was taken too easily. Because they skipped over the whole battle. But it's tough to say because they skipped the battle. It doesn't really give us a proper picture of, what kind of resistance was put up. But again, Olenna, even she herself admitted that, it wasn't their forte, golden roses indeed. And this brings me to the final scene again, and I already talked about this at great length in the beginning. But, one more thing I kind of forgot to talk about is, again, man, that feeling here, man, could Jaime's, love, his obsession with Cersei be his downfall? Because he straight up admits it. He admitted to Olenna, yeah, it's gone too far. Like, I can't come back from it now. And she said to him, she'll be the end of you. And he even said straight up, possibly. So he's not delusional. He knows that it's possible that Cersei could be his downfall. He was realistic about it. But man, again, Jaime is one of my favorite characters. He's right up there. Him, Jon Snow, and the Hound. So I don't want to see this be his downfall. And he even believes that it's gone beyond his control. Like it's, it sounded like it's at a point of no return. Leading up to season 7, I always felt like this might be it. End of season 6. That's that final shot of him looking at Cersei on the throne. I feel like maybe this is the turning point. But to be honest, man, since season 7 started, there's been no signs of that. He seems just as devoted, just as in love as he was before, man. But if you made it this far, kudos to you, man. But if you enjoy my take on the show, I'm sure you enjoyed this. It's more the same of my usual take on the show. If you got to the end of this, thank you. I do appreciate it, and hopefully you liked it, my take on this episode. And it was a big episode, so this is probably one of my longest discussions. So if you did enjoy, please smash that thumbs up, leave your comments, Let me know what you guys thought. Check me out on social media, guys. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, on Patreon. Once again, thank you so much to all my amazing patrons. I appreciate your kindness so much. Thank you. Thank you for the amazing support and faith in me. I'll be back doing episode 4 next Sunday. My plan really is to get these out really quick, because if I don't get them out by Monday morning, then it kind of gets delayed because of I'll just get busy doing the work stuff. But I'm really gonna try. Hopefully I can get this one out really quick. But yeah, man, thanks for dropping by. Take it easy.